See you later. Thank you so
Yep,
much.
I'm doing it. Thanks.
Yeah, certainly.
All right.
Right.
That's recording.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
Yeah. So generally when organizations choose and have a look at, they've been using other technology like Splunk before, they find the transition to DEVO really simple because we have, there's a lot of overlap in terms of the capabilities, but we make a lot of the pain points of managing these SIM technologies go away. And that's one of the main reasons is because we are a cloud native technology. One of the things that one of the biggest issues and hurdles when you're onboarding a SIM is data sources, getting data in. And what you'll notice here on the right-hand side, I've got my top 10 data sources from the that we're collecting. So let's take a look at a couple of those and talk about our differentiators. On the left, you'll see and even at the top, you'll see apac.devo.com. So that we don't have what is typically seen as a platform as a service, which is the current SIM deployment model these days. We're a pure SaaS. So you're just a tenant, much like the more modern SIM technologies. And the things that we do, if I just focus on data search, that we don't require any admin to write a parser. DEVO does that for all of the common technologies, and we've got about 3,000 in total, which is extremely valuable for organizations. They don't need to worry about having to write those parsers. But once you get the data in, you have to do something with it, and you have to understand how do we make it easy for you to interact with your data. Well, and just quickly, what you're probably very familiar with if you're using any other technology for a while is that you get this blank query box. It's like a poor man's version of Google search. And most organizations are told to, find bad stuff, and have to write a search and have to work it out themselves. But that's really cumbersome and hard. And so one of DEVO's differentiators is that we make it very easy to look at your data in a very clean format. If I want to access my firewall data, it's all there. If I want to access my cloud data, for example, it's all there. I don't have to worry about the different data types. It's all there available for me to access. And to query it, I don't have to write a single line of code. This is what we call no-code analytics. So I can go firewall, all traffic, and that's going to return all of my firewall data, which is required no query capabilities at all. And this is what we call a virtual view of your data. So it doesn't require any parsing, and we present all the data in a nice, neat fashion for you to interrogate. And under the hood, what we do with our no-code query language, we make it very easy to write a query. So let's imagine, for whatever reason, we want us to look at outbound data to a public IP address. Well, we're not going to make you write some complex query. We're just going to say, hey, select the column that you want to work on. And with our no-code analytics, we can use this quick toolbar up here. You can just filter the data and say, hey, just show me private addresses, private IPv4, and filter. And then for destination addresses, it's as simple as going, hey, I want to look at my public addresses. And this is what we call, no-code search. How do we now step this up a level and go no-code analytics? Well, I highlight this, and now I can do my analytical functions, which is grouping and counting. Let's say we're just going to get like a frequency analysis, just using these toolbars, and I have to write a single line of code. And let's imagine that, we want to look for just rare events, where it's, less than 10, greater than 5, less than 10. And do another filter, greater than, we'll say count, greater than 5. it's going to tell us exactly the search that we need to run, and we're going to filter this. But I've got a heap of results here, and that's not really going to help me, find bad in here. So let's start doing some additional analytical filtering functions. And here's where the over 300 search operations really shine. So I'm just going to create a new column. This is like schema on the fly. Schema at read is another way of describing it, where I'm adding information without having to, re-ingest the data or index it. So we've got over 300 search operations. So we can do things like show me the ISP. So what is the ISP for this IP address? ISP, create a field. And now I can start to see, well, what are things that are I'm not really interested in there? Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Akamai. Maybe just show me where it's actually there's no ISP reported. No. And now I've gone from 1,000 results to a handful, 25. So now what I'm going to do is I want to automate this activity. So I'm just going to convert it to a use case by clicking this lightning bolt. And if I fill this out, what this will do is every time this triggers, it'll send it over to the SOAR and start to, perform the investigation. So let's pivot now. Now we've got this search. We're going to, send it over to the SOAR. Let's pivot over to the SOAR just briefly to show you exactly what the SOAR is capable of. Now, this is our system overview, the Top Gun playbook that's going to show, the Top Gun enterprise. They've got, certain return on investment. We've got 67 integrations that are being used. And, we've got particular cases, stuff that's being, automatically resolved. We want to find out just quickly, what does a playbook look like in the DEVO world? Well, if I was just to go through and say, hey, I want to create a brand new playbook, why we're different in the market is we have what we call an assisted threat detection playbook that will go through and automate the playbook building aspect of DEVO. And this detection assistant is like almost like your augmented analyst. They'll come in and say, hey, where do you want to pull this data from? And I can say, well, give me the system event type, look for the last 24 hours. And maybe let's say I want to look for rare user agents or something like that. I can describe that, but having to write that in a playbook is very hard. So what I can do here is I can say, hey, make a feature, no code required of user agent. We'll call it user, say UA_feature. And I can score this by frequency. I'm going to submit. And it's going to go through and say, well, look over the last 7 days. And how far back would you like to do this? Well, look after the last 30 days. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually creating this automatic baseline of user agent by frequency. And I can wait for this to continue, but you can just see, I haven't had to write a single line of Python code like your traditional applications and say, yes, wait. And it's going to go do this baseline. It's going to do scoring for me. And I've just created a real-time threat detection playbook looking for rare user agents in my SOAR without having to write a single line of code. Now, if I wanted to convert this to production, let's go edit in easy mode, give it a title, and I'll call it AI Assisted Playbook. Sort it and run stream. And now this will go through and I'll say output to this one here. Output that straight to UA feature. Scored node. All right, perfect. If I was to press save, that's it. And this is the power of a next-gen cloud native technology. We're integrating, true AI, not marketing AI. So chatbots, you're interacting with the technology through chat or clicking, not, pretend AI, as I like to call it. And I've just created this really useful machine learning based baselining playbook without having to write a single line of code. Now, normally would give you sort of a full end-to-end demo. This is a 10-minute or less demo of the DEVO platform. I'll pause here because there's certain aspects I haven't covered. I haven't covered our the case management technology, all the integrations that we have in here. Some of the commands. I just thought I'll just give you a brief overview about how the technology works, and we can see if this is the right talking track.
Okay, so how many CM provider in the market right now able to do like this?
Are you saying how many
Honestly,
CM providers?
honestly, I don't know much about the CM technology because, and from here, I think DEVO is so easy to manage. But so is it different from the another CM technology in the market right now?
Yeah, most SIM technologies. There's I was talking about this, and maybe the best way to put it is we had this. If you're going to describe the difference, we say it as cloud native versus cloud hosted.
Mm-hmm.
So how familiar with AWS or AWS services? I'll give you just a little quick little, if I got the right one here, no, that one there. Just a little quick slide just to illustrate the difference here. When we started in cloud, there was IaaS, you're running EC2 nodes, and you move what you did in the cloud to, on-prem to the cloud.
Yeah.
Then they went PaaS, where let someone else manage most of it for me, and still there's still an admin burden. And then there's wave 3, which is you want to become the user and not the administrator, and really minimum integration efforts and rapid updates. You don't want to have to do platform updates.
Mm-hmm.
What we've seen in the SIM industry is these 3 things, which is organizations using ArcSight, QRadar are in sort of wave 1. Then wave 2 is where it's been moved from on-premise to the cloud. These are like the Splunks, the Exabeams, the Elastic. In wave 3, which is DEVO, the autonomous SOC, you're not an administrator of the SIM. You use it, which is a big difference. You're not. It's born in the cloud, and you're not having to do a lot of the administration effort that you typically do with these legacy or traditional SIMs. So there's a huge burden in managing the SIM. Some organizations have just a dedicated team that just work on keeping it up and running, and we just take all that away. We manage that for our end customers. That help answer the question?
Yes. And can you show me how DEVO collect the data from on-prem? Because most of server customer are on-prem, so they might have a lot of question for the security issue, that's security concern. How do they send the data on-prem to your DEVO?
Yeah, so every customer has their own set of client credentials, which are certificate-based.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, you've got a couple of things. So think of it this way, which is up here is what the customer manages, and down here is what we manage for you. So a lot of customers, all of the on-prem technologies have syslog as an output. So you just syslog the data through this DEVO relay, and we'll securely send it up to the cloud. In addition, some organizations will, they'll have an existing endpoint agent. We'll just use their existing endpoint agent, route it via the relay securely, and send it out to the cloud. So the relay is a very efficient method of sending data out to the cloud, and it's all secured. Customer, everyone's got their own separate tenant. and it's a very common pattern. You know, a lot of customers of ours sending data from on-premise, you know, without no problem.
So any concern about the link between the on-prem or DEVO? I mean the internet link from customer side to the DEVO cloud.
I mean, some customers will have, you know, they've got, you know, concerns about bandwidth, but we've got options on the relay to enable further compression on the relay to reduce the bandwidth issues. And you know,
sorry, can you repeat again? I lost my connection.
Yeah, our relay has uses compression to send data up to the cloud, so it's not one for one. It's and so we don't come across bandwidth issues these days. It's becoming rarer these days because most organizations are able to send that data pretty efficiently. Where the large data workloads are normally are in the cloud, and we do that for you. So we actually pull directly from your cloud into our cloud, and so you don't really have those those issues that you typically see on premise.
Okay. Let's say you have like the deduplication feature or something like that, right?
Data deduplication?
Yes.
Can you explain what you're trying to achieve with the deduplication?
I mean, you save the connection link with the deduplication or compression like that, right?
Yeah, so we'll compress the connection.
Okay, let's say compress.
And so so it's always compressed because when you encrypt data, it's naturally compressed.
Yeah. And so and I saw some like scalability about the long term that they will collect the data. How long they're able to store a data on the DEVO?
As long as you need, but by default, organizations use our default retention, which is 400 days.
So it's related to some license or something else for the.
Is the question does the retention affect the license? Sorry.
Yes. Like they are additional license for like long term.
So
data.
So by default, folk, if you recall, we do it 400 days. So 400 days is by default for most of the customer.
Okay.
But sometimes I see that some customers might have commercial issues. Then we can do 90 days, but 400 days is default for us.
Okay, that's good. Let me think about the question that I have. For the Sol technology, is it able to connect to the another SIM vendor?
Is it able to connect to another SIM vendor? Yeah, it is. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we pick many different SIM vendors that organizations will want to choose. So it's some organizations want to pick for example, they'll pick Splunk, they pick Symbologic. There's just many different organizations that you might want to collect your data from. So no problems there.
Okay. I'm not sure is it possible to show the name demo that you show me for a partner tomorrow?
Yes, certainly. I'm more than happy to show that demo. Yep.
Because it looks easier to understand what DEVO does.
Yeah. So I'll make sure it's not going to be that short. I'll do a much larger presentation tomorrow than what we have today.
So one thing, can I have your presentation or some, because I try to looking for some overview presentation or the more information about technical in the website, but I don't see anything like presentation. So can I have your presentation?
So I
Yeah.
can send you the slides, but they were
Yeah,
general
yeah.
slides as such. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
sure,
that's
sure.
So how do you want to do it tomorrow? Do you want to open up and then pass it on to Mickey, or because that's what sort of Benji wanted us to do.
I think it would be better if you handle the meeting tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. All right.
Yeah, because they are special in Splunk already, so they might want to talk with the special from DEVO. Anyway, your demo is look pretty good if you can show them this demo.
Sounds good. Hey, last time I was with ECOP, he also mentioned that SOAR was important because he's got some clients where he believed that, client has committed Splunk for
Yes.
long time, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah. So maybe SOAR would be important as well, right? Because we can complement the Splunk, if they can't get out of the contract for 4 or 5 years.
Yes, correct. For
Awesome.
ECOP, yes, correct.
That's right. Okay, cool. So Mickey, one of the comment that the partner told me last time is some of his clients have actually committed to Splunk, and because the deal was done in a CapEx way, even if they want, they can't get out of it.
Oh,
So
wow.
in that case, the SOAR would be much more useful, and that's a quite good comment, right? Because when you put something in with five years in a in a CapEx model, you can't get out of it in the third year. So yeah, SOAR would be really good, useful for us in that case. Awesome. Anything else that folk we should know? Because I do believe these guys are looking at an opportunity about 600 gig or thereabouts.
Yes. I think nothing else. Anyway, tomorrow I will back up you in like Thai language if they have a question.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
anyway, for the presentation slide, can you share me today? Because I will have a look and try to understand more.
Yeah, sure, no worries. The presentation slide were put for you for Pacific Tech in a Google folder, which was shared to you guys. I will I'll ask Kai to give you access for that. No worries, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Anything else you need, or that's all?
Yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Okay. Mickey, do you want to add anything else, or that's all from your side as well?
I am all good.
Awesome. Sounds good. So I have forwarded meeting invite to Mickey anyway, so we will join that. Yeah, I'll share some of the slides with you. And obviously you can you have my WhatsApp, so ping me if you need anything else.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Thanks, Mickey, then, in that case.
Nice. All right. Speak soon.
All right. Cheers. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.